I couldn't be more excited about this week's guest. They have been at the top of my list from when I first started planning the podcast. They are the brother and sister duo behind the flagship company, BeYou. Their period products have changed the lives of women around the world. And in their words, expect better, challenge everything. Please welcome for their exclusive first ever podcast interview, Kru and Hemang. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. I am unbelievably excited for this conversation because you have been at the top of my dream guest list for a very long time. So I'm really grateful that you're both here. I would love to start, Kru, if I can, with the kind of founder story because from what I know, it really started from your awful experience of being period shamed at work.
Yes,
and I'd love to hear that story, if you could tell me.
Yes. Oh, God, it was a long time ago. It was a really long time ago. It was one of my first jobs in central London, and I was struggling with really bad period pains at the time.
Okay.
And was walking down with a hot water bottle, and it was a very male-dominated sort of workspace.
Okay.
And, very young, very brash sort of guys running around, who's the biggest man type,
alpha competition.
Yes, very alpha. And I won't name and shame because that guy's name is still in my head, but he was very much just like, what are you doing? Why are you walking around with a hot water bottle? And I was like, and I've always just been one to be straight to the point. So it's like, I'm on my period. It's not like, I'm not feeling well. It's just, I'm on my period, right? And so
it's just a fact
it's
of life.
a normal, exactly. Which for a long time, and I think still to this day, many women do sort of shy away from saying it. Anyway, so they just turned around and said to me, well, that's not right. You shouldn't be wearing a hot water bottle. It was quite like, it was shaming on one side of it. The manager also was just like, I don't think it's very professional to walk around with a hot water bottle.
What?
And I was just sitting there at this point as well. And it was a kind of role that, I was not like I was sitting there in front of clients. And even if I was, I still, I work in a place now where, you can. It's very open, but that's what kind of started. I remember I was really upset by it, and I remember talking to my brother, which most people don't really talk to their brothers about, but he's always been a very understanding
Well, that's amazing that you guys have that relationship, right? That you can
yeah, we
talk
do.
about it.
I mean, there was never a choice at home because she was either on her period, about to be on her period, or just finished her period. So it was just, she was just, it was all, the whole thing was just around period.
It's true. I do thank myself for raising such an amazing brother because actually I've always been very open about my period at home. So it's been like, I'm about to start, please don't mess with me, or I'm dying, because I used to really suffer.
Yeah.
And so he's always been into, he's always kind of known about periods. It's not like a lot of boys from school or in school don't know what periods are.
No.
Which to me is shocking. You can be at school if you're in mixed schools. For girls, it's very sad, I think, to walk around and not be able to share how you're feeling when it's such a massive part of your life.
Yeah.
So back to that story, I'd called my brother, and he was just like, that's crazy that's what they did at work. Because there were other females there, but they didn't have a voice to really say, come on guys, she's on her period, she's struggling, at least she's at work, It wasn't like that. It was just like, put it away. And so then that was really kind of what prompted us to look into how can we help women on their periods without having to pop pills all the time, because I've never really been one to take the medicine. I've always had quite a high threshold for pain, so not that you needed to take it, but I just didn't really want to. I never really knew what's going to do to my body. There were some occasions where I was really struggling and I would just take something, but it's just short term. So we were looking. We've always come from a family where natural, holistic health has been like the center of everything. It kind of started off with my granddad, and so it's kind of filtered through. So that's how we started looking into the ingredients and what we can do to help women, really.
Amazing. And Hemang, for you, when your sister called and said this happened at work, from your perspective, what kind of happened for you? Was it that protective anger kind of got you fired up, and what was your side of it from kind of hearing that?
It's hard to think. I mean, your initial thing when you hear something like that for a family member or something that you care about in general, it's just like, what, that doesn't even make sense. And then you get a bit of anger, but I'm generally quite. I'll jump to the solution. I don't really sit in the problem area much. I go straight to the solution. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he does. It's really annoying, actually. It's just so logical all the time. Like, you can be angry, like,
That sounds like all the men in my family. It is. I don't need to talk about the emotional kind of state in that part of it.
exactly.
I'm just going to tell you how you can fix this.
Yeah.
Get on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, can you just be angry with me for once? Like, it's like, no, what's the solution? It's always, I haven't got to that yet, like, just let me sit in the emotion.
Well, no, it's not like I don't feel the anger, but it's one of those things where, like, it's happened. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, what are we going to do about it? Obviously, I was really annoyed about it. And you're annoyed enough to then to actually start researching and figuring out what we're going to do about it.
Yeah.
Because we had that conversation then as well. It's not like we started looking out for something that was discreet and like thin like the patches are.
Yeah.
We just want, and because it shouldn't need to be discreet, right? That's the point. It shouldn't need to be discreet.
Yeah.
But we just ended up trying to find something that was comfortable, because hot water bottles are a bit annoying.
Yeah.
They're kind of clunky. You got to hold them and you got to refill them.
Well,
And
they're not good for you either, are they?
for a long, if you're doing a
long
lot.
period of time. But a lot of people that I know, a lot of the girls I know, do stick them on like for ages.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
ages,
Yeah.
And a lot of women I work with actually say they'd rather feel the burning
Yeah.
sensation of
It's
their
so
skin
bad for
than
you.
the pain,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is like so extreme.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. So in terms of having that conversation, kind of thinking, right, we're going to do something about this. Solution focused, Mr. Fix It. How long did it take for the research and that kind of initial stages before we got to the first product?
About 2 years.
Okay.
It took a while, because I would generally overcomplicate something before I get to the point where, no, we need to simplify it. And she'll be the first person to say, you're overcomplicating it. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So in my head, when I first kind of started looking into like all the clinical studies and stuff for different natural ingredients and herbs and things that would help,
Yeah.
it's not just because obviously a lot of it is you can take it orally, and the other part of it is putting it topically.
Yeah.
And so we ended up on like 7 or 8 different oils, which seemed like they would help. And then eventually we found someone in India to actually help us do the patch and do the testing and stuff.
Oh, amazing.
And then so at that point, that's when we realized actually we don't need to have so many different ingredients. We can get away with just the 2 that we ended on.
And
that,
the right proportions of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you could have too much of one and less of the other. And it was just like a lot of testing on, sending it out to women to try it out.
Yeah.
What works, what doesn't work. And then eventually we kind of got to something that really did work.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in a meeting actually with this patch on.
Okay.
And I was like messaging my brother like, oh my God, it's so good. So good. Like my phone was under the table and I was like, this is so good. It's like tingling, but it's a really good tingle. And I was like, it's really helping. Like it really massively just helped me because, it just alleviated that like real discomfort. And I just felt like really, you just feel at ease. I felt with the patches. So I was like, this is really going to be a game changer.
Yeah.
And so the best I think has been when you hear back from right in the very start.
Yeah,
Do you remember
yeah.
some of those girls that would message us and be like, guys, this is amazing.
Yeah.
There were some girls right from the start actually who still message me to this day, which is actually really nice. Some
Amazing.
of them have also gone and had their own kids after using those patches. But like these have really helped me through my periods, but also just ever since then with so many different parts of their lives, they've been in contact with us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's actually, you've kind of seen the journey for a lot of these women who started off in their sort of 20s.
Yeah.
And they're now, mothers, and they're like, we'll definitely recommend this to like our friends and their daughters and stuff like that. And it's actually really nice to hear from some of them now.
There was that lady. So there's a lady very early on who she had endometriosis, and she was like, look, I'm about to have a hysterectomy.
Oh, wow.
And she was 25, 26, something like that. And she goes, look, I don't want to buy the patches. I've tried so many things. And normally we had a policy from the beginning that we don't want to do sampling.
Yeah.
Because for such a small business, it's hard to sample like that many products to so many people that want to try it.
Yeah.
But I sent one to her anyway. And then she loved it. And then obviously after that, she started buying it. And,
She was super grateful though.
yeah. But so from going from about to get a hysterectomy in a couple of months to now having 2 kids, is like those are the kind of stories that stick with you, and it keeps you like focused on like what we're doing and mission and all the different things that we're trying to release.
Yeah.
Those things are wicked.
Incredible story.
Yeah.
Because I have endometriosis myself, and the women that I work with, and obviously this is not medical advice, I personally have an issue with the whole hysterectomy conversation that happens with women with any kind of gynecological condition, because it's just the treatment options for endo are awful because we haven't had the research and development that we need.
No, yeah.
And they just shove hysterectomy. So like I was 18 when I was going through my diagnosis process, and when I was 19 years old, I was at university. I remember them turning around to me and being like, well, hysterectomy is an option.
At 19?
I was like, I'm 19. Like, I'm basically still a kid myself. But they genuinely, if I had said, because the endometriosis they found for me was stage 4, and mine was one of the most aggressive forms that my consultant had seen. He's one of the best in the world. I'm really lucky to have him. And he didn't say that to me, because he's very good, but one of his team had mentioned it to me, like, on that journey. And thank God I had my mum there, because I was quite kind of impressionable and obviously quite young. But my mum is an absolute powerhouse. And she was like, I don't think that's an option. That's not happening. Yeah. So I didn't go for it. But yeah, to hear that a product that you guys have created literally helps someone look at the other options for their life and they now have a family, that's amazing. Like, no wonder that story sticks with you.
Yes, but a lot of the buyers, a lot of them are women that suffer with endometriosis. It's so common, but it's just not spoken about very much at all. And I don't think endometriosis has got enough of spotlight, to be honest.
I do think people try. It's getting a lot. I mean, it is.
Now it is. But when we first started off, I didn't think.
Oh, no, for sure. I think when we started, it was very much kind of very grassroots. Yeah. And then now it's got more and more. Like, to the point where the retailers now talk about it. Like, when even Superdrug, for example, I don't know if I'm allowed to name names, but...
No, fine.
I remember there was something where they were talking about endometriosis as a condition and having things that are going to help.
Yeah.
But obviously there's not many products out there that can help, and we're not allowed to say endometriosis in terms of what products for. So, it's...
Well, you guys, I'm confident enough to say that you guys would have helped, you know that already, but thousands and thousands of women with that condition, regardless of whether we can in print say that or not. Like, they are alive. My bedside drawer has got nothing else in it apart from BeYou patches.
Really?
I'm not even kidding. I should have taken a photo and brought it. But yeah, my partner's absolutely amazing. He's such a support. But I now know, like, if I have any twinges or anything, I'm lucky that my condition's the best it's been in 10 years. But if I have any twinges or anything, I literally just give him a look and he's like, patch? And I'm like, yes, please. And he knows where they are. And it's just kind of like a little routine we have in our house. But like you were saying about kind of feeling reassured when you had yours on, if I've got like a big meeting or I know that I'm a bit stressed and sometimes that can like flare things up, I'll just put one on anyway, because it's almost like a comfort blanket.
That's really good, because it is a preventative.
Yeah.
I do believe that. When you're about to be on your period, best timing is to just whack it on then, as opposed to waiting for the symptoms to start.
Yeah.
So that's really good. But yeah, you're right. It's like a comfort blanket for sure.
Totally. You just feel confident in your own body that you're like, okay, if I'm in an important meeting, I'm doing something, this has got me and I'm going to be fine. And I love the fact that you can put as many on as you want as well. That is so good.
Yeah.
You guys did something incredible during COVID around giving away free packs. Tell me about that.
Are you talking about the charity?
Charity as well. I'd love to hear about that as well.
Well, you know, for the subscribers, where we gave the free packs out.
Yes.
Yeah, that was... it was one of those things where we were still really small then. It's probably harder to do now.
Okay.
But we were... You know, COVID obviously affected everyone. And... You know, while we're kind of researching things and kind of speaking to people, and you know, there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress around it, and so we thought, well, you know, we've got the capacity to send some packs out. Let's send some out to the subscribers for free, just as like an extra pack that they can just use if they're going to be using more patches. And also, I guess from the conversation we're just having with endo, because a lot of our community had endo. That, you know, with conditions like that, stress and things like that really make a massive difference, right? So that's why we kind of came to the conclusion to send that, and it all happened at the same time as the charity thing. To me,
and some of them were some of those girls I remember specifically were in and out of hospital quite frequently. So whenever they have a flare up, she'd end up in. I remember one girl specifically, she'd be in and out of hospital, and I'm pretty sure she runs a page on Instagram all about endometriosis. It's like endometriosis with me or something. It's like, but she used to be in and out of hospital quite a lot, and those patches were kind of like a godsend for her. So it was like, we didn't want, just because it was COVID, so that, you know, what is COVID? Sorry guys, we're not there for you. Because for us, it's very much like, no, we're 100% there for you. we want to make sure that we do help. And that's really what we're all about, is to really just help, help as many women as possible. So that's what it was more about for us at that time, I think.
Yeah.
That is the ethos. Like we're talking about like how our granddad kind of has set the tone for a lot of the stuff that we do in our lives. His whole thing was, whatever you do in life, whatever business you do do something that's helping people, and then the rest will come anyway. And so that's kind of the way that we run it.
That's an amazing ethos to have.
Yeah, he was an incredible guy. He passed away very recently, so
so
but it's a very, very big part of what he used to believe in. It sort of trickles through.
Yeah. And how incredible to have that as like the backbone and the spine of the company and the brand, that because you are helping so many people every single day. And another way that you help people is the BeYou Foundation. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you want to talk about it?
Okay. I can give you a small background.
Yeah.
So there's this lady, she's known as the pad lady in India.
Okay.
Essentially what she is, so if I start if you go to the villages in India, a lot of the girls in India won't go to school if they're on their periods. They can't afford sanitary hygiene. There's also it's a taboo topic out there. You know, boys snigger at it. Men won't sort of sit next to you because of it, and all this kind of stuff. Because the education in these rural areas is just very, very sort of scarce. So we were looking around and thinking, okay, again, back to our granddad. He has 2 schools out there, and so for us, we were like, what can we do to also help other girls?
Yeah.
And we found this lady. What she was doing is she would set up like a machine in sort of like small rural areas, and that machine would make pads.
Okay.
And those pads would then, she would educate the women in the area.
Yeah.
So this is how you make it, this is how you pack it, and then you can go out and then sell it into your local community. And it's like really, really like very small amounts. But whatever they sell it for, the women that are selling keep it.
Oh, amazing.
So then it's almost like you're giving them like their own job.
Yes.
So and it's life changing for women in those areas. So, you know, it was like a really big moment for us when we could see all these machines being opened because of the donations, because of the foundation, that it was helping so many girls, not just in the schools, but also women, you know, middle-aged women going out and just having a job and having their own voice, which is something that is just, you know, it's really amazing to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really empowering kind of grassroots thing that she's got going there, because the pads are biodegradable.
Okay.
And they said she will find 15 people and she will employ them to run that machine.
Okay.
To run it and obviously do the sales and everything, and all the money that they make, basically they keep, and they can choose whether they build another machine and make more, or kind of just keep taking the money home for whatever they want to do with it. And then they also then teach like the local community, like the guys and who generally don't have a clue, that this is not a dirty thing. It's completely normal. It's natural. They kind of show it to them in a nice way. So it's just a really nice movement. It's a really nice movement. It's really nice for us to see that happen during COVID, because it was a video call as well. Obviously, the plan was to go there and see it when it first happened.
Yes.
But then they still did it over video call, and it was kind of cool, even though it was COVID. It was just a nice moment.
Yeah, I think the fact that they're biodegradable, which is, you know, so important, especially in India, where you don't want, you know, just more and more rubbish to be thrown around everywhere. It's like that was really important for us as well. So when we were speaking to her, it was just like, this is mind blowing that she's doing this. And so it was like this clay. Was it like this pot style like clay thing? Do you remember?
Yeah.
And it's like the sanitary towels go into that, the used ones, and then they burn it. So
it's like an incinerator. And then you can.
It just turns to ash. So it's like the very, you know, it's very sort of environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
Which you don't really tend to get with the pads in this country.
I was going to say, they're the opposite, right?
Yeah.
The ones that we have in this country.
So,
It's made out of starch or something like that. I can't remember what it is. It's like all like plant-based stuff that they make out of. So I don't know. No one's told us about comfort, I guess, but
no, but they look really comfortable. They do look it. You can tell, like very like padded and everything. But
And it sounds like you've transformed the lives of a whole range of women, like really young women that are obviously on their periods and are at school, and that education piece, men as well. And then also, like you say, the middle-aged women that have got so much empowerment and kind of take back control of their own life and creating their own income. That sounds incredible. It's like a ripple effect on so many layers of what that initiative has created.
Yeah. it's true. It's actually really nice to see it, isn't it? That it's not just like about the periods, it's about everything else that it kind of then it's like a ripple effect for sure.
Yeah, you don't really think of, we don't really sit and think about it like that.
No.
But that's actually nice.
Well, you guys can have that one. And I mean, talking about the ripple effect and it being more than just about periods, obviously they're very important. But from what I've kind of read about BeYou, that feels like it's a big part of your mission and vision as well. That obviously you started with the patches and period pain, but that you want to take it and it's going so much further than that. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. It's so I think one of the things that people in general do is they look at periods as kind of, it's just those few, let's say for the average, let's say couple of days a month and that's it.
Yeah.
But actually the menstrual cycle as a whole kind of is your life from like your first period to menopause, and everything else kind of goes around that in a sense. So what we're trying to do is say, okay, well, we've got period pain covered, let's say, and there's obviously loads of other areas within that we want to still kind of get into, but then a lot of people, for example, are subscribers. A lot of subscribers, so the number one reason people stop using the patches is because they get pregnant.
Okay.
And that's not the reason why we went into pregnancy, but it makes sense from like a business point of view, right?
Yes.
And so we've got this really cool pregnancy pain patch coming out, which is for the lower back. And it's super mild, so there's not a lot in there. It's completely fine. And we're really excited about that because that's an area where there's not much really you can do for back pain when you're pregnant.
Yeah.
And so we're doing that, and then we're going for like postpartum, and then more things all the way up to menopause. So there's so many different areas to life, I think, that surround the menstrual cycle. And it's not just the pain points as well. There's other things which, for example, sleep, like all these different things that affect your lifestyle gets affected. So we want to kind of just see what we can do to help with all these different things. Like I remember when Kru had her first baby, because you came and stayed at home after the baby was born.
We created our own little bubble during COVID. So.
And for me, I mean, it sounds really bad, but I was just kind of sitting there like, oh, that's a great business idea. Oh, that's a great business idea. Because there's so many, because there's nothing, there's so many.
Creating life and having the most painful birth. And I was like, I tell you what, that's a cracking idea. That is, I'm going to brainstorm it.
Absolutely. So I was like, oh.
No, but
tell me more.
No, but seriously, it's astonishing that for such a big part of life, right? Not just for women, like even for everybody, like birth is like it's a whole thing, right? It's a miracle of life, right? That there's so many things that just there's nothing for, or there's nothing suitable for. It's like people, or kind of like with period pains like before, where people would just use the hot water bottle because that was just available. People just did it, and there's just so many things like that for pregnancy.
I think with just this whole topic, so you've got periods, you've got pregnancy, you've got motherhood, you've got postpartum, you've got menopause. In terms of women's health in general, we're so underrepresented.
Yeah.
So it's like, going back to things like research on why women operate the way they do in terms of why they're in so much pain with X, Y, and Z, or, it's like historically, I believe women are just expected to just get on with it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like, oh, but every woman goes through it. That is just don't ever say that to me.
I hate
that. But
just
didn't you
part
just
of
have it
being a
last
woman.
month? That's the worst. Didn't you just have it last month? Yes, that's how it works. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't kill me every time. It's like the education behind it, but in terms of the research as well. And it's actually, you can't really blame, men of this day because they haven't been educated at school.
Yeah.
The research behind it in terms of like from a medical point of view, it's majority of research when it comes to conditions has always been done on men.
Yes.
When females, I mean, they probably suffer, with all due respect to men, they do suffer a lot more with their monthlies and then with birth and then postpartum and menopause and all these things. I mean, I remember reading this whole podcast, listening to this podcast. I think it was on a diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
And he was talking to somebody and someone says, so tell me, what is menopause? And they didn't know what to say. They did not know what menopause was. Oh, is it just when you get hot flushes? You're just like, are you actually joking? Like, it's so
that
like
must be the answer for most, not all, but a lot of men.
Yeah.
no, it's absolutely you just can't blame them because they don't educate it. So like they will educate children in school about sex, and they'll educate, okay, this is how you use a condom, for example. But they won't ever say, okay, when a girl is on the period, this is what they're feeling, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
So it might be, just to kind of generate that empathy from a young age.
Yeah.
It's just so key.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, like that's also a lot about what BeYou is about. And I mean, I've been off for a while, but my brother is also very much into, raising that awareness, which he's very good at. So,
High praise indeed.
so I think that for me is like, if we can get past that and it just becomes the norm, because it absolutely should be,
Yeah.
then we've done something right.
Definitely. So I want to ask you guys about the challenges, because I know there's been plenty from the start, continuing to today, and obviously in the future, because there always will be in that journey of business. Talk to me about Big Pharma and the government when we're thinking about ingredients, because I really want to know more about that. Hemang, you are laughing.
Oh gosh, it makes sense. I mean, I'll give you an example, and that kind of just it's just the best way to kind of illustrate it.
Yeah.
So we had a endometriosis supplement which we created. It took me like 6 months to formulate it, because when I'm doing these supplements, I'm going into I'm reading like hundreds and hundreds of like medical journals, kind of figuring out which things are working, and then which ingredient might work with another ingredient to make sure it's absorbed and synthesized properly, and all these different things. And then obviously then working with all the different pain points that people have. But anyway, so one of the ingredients was something called I3C, which is a really good ingredient. It's found, you can get it predominantly from like cruciferous vegetables. So you get it from any like leafy things like broccoli and cabbage, all of that kind of stuff. So you can get it. So all we had was just in the supplement. And
sorry, just on that point, it just reminds me, like, every time I'm like something's going on, I'm like, have you had your greens? Yes, I have. Thank you.
Your brother is asking you if you
Honestly,
had your greens.
Tell me about your diet. You're having enough broccoli. Just like, what is this?
no, but it's like as much as we do, all of this stuff is like all the patches, everything is all it's a response, isn't it? It's very much a westernized way of it's a response. We're treating the symptoms as opposed to going back to the root cause and trying to figure that out, right?
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff is food based. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, there's so many studies now for even with things like endometriosis, where like 50% of people like who do studies where
So anti-inflammatory.
if they go vegan or if they go gluten free, their pain reduces significantly. So there's all these different things which can help manage like these conditions.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I3C, that was one of the kind of superstar ingredients in that supplement, and everyone that tried it loved it. People, there's people coming and saying, "You literally given me a new lease of life. Like I'm out and about now. I wasn't able to do that before." So all these different, really, it was doing really well.
Yeah.
And then we went out of stock for a while just because it kind of sold out faster than we thought it would. And then when we went to do the next batch, the government had classed it as a novel food, which basically means that as a novel food, we have to then create a whole dossier for that ingredient to be able to have that ingredient in our supplements. And we're too small to have that kind of money to go and do that kind of exercise.
So that's huge.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now the next iteration of it doesn't have that. And I mean, I feel like I might have kind of got around it in theory, but we won't know until people try it.
Yes.
Right. But that's really annoying because as an ingredient, and also then, we're obviously playing by the rules, but there's obviously a lot of other companies out there that will still manage to get it in their supplements and they'll still be selling it.
Really?
Yeah, because it's not necessarily policed until the MHRA really comes into it.
Right. Okay.
And for most people, and also the MHRA is just too busy for this kind of stuff, which is kind of annoying because we want to do right by the laws and also kind of toe that line a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But we know we can't do it because it's classed like that, so we're just not going to do it. But then who kind of gets the government or the MHRA to class that ingredient as a novel food? It's the big pharma companies. They're the ones that are like, well, look, we're doing all this research. We found that it's really beneficial for this. So, okay, now it's going to be a novel food. And so only we can really afford to do all the dossiers and everything that we need to do to get it out there.
Isn't that convenient? So basically, Big Pharma have managed to make claim on it because they know they've got the resources to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
able to do
Absolutely, that is
Yeah.
it. And I think the frustrating part of that is, do you remember right at the beginning when we had to go to the MHRA and kind of show them all the research
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all of that? And it was just to get the word on there.
Period cramps. It was period cramps.
Yeah.
Which we weren't allowed to do. So we launched.
Like, that's literally what it does. Like, but you couldn't use that word. You couldn't use that wording because then I think it was more like, from a medical point of view, you just can't, it's a claim.
Right.
Yeah, but
you
there,
can't
do you remember,
make a claim.
you were really annoyed. Of anybody, we would be really annoyed because when we went there, it was these two old guys that were like, I mean, they basically said, look, some competitor in the market has kind of
Complained about
you
Yeah.
guys because you have soothes period cramps naturally on your packaging. Because that's how we launched it. Because we didn't think that was a claim. And then when we went there,
That's what it does.
yeah, and we went there. They were like, they said, Kru was like, but it's period cramps. Like it's so
What?
natural.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh well, we see period cramps as a adverse medical condition. I was like, well, it's just like it's a normal part of life that everyone pretty much gets period cramps. So it's not a medical condition.
These two old guys were making
Yeah.
This is the
decisions.
problem.
This is,
And this is-
I would
yeah.
have an issue with that massively.
And this is exactly the problem we have, generally speaking. And this is that most of the decisions are made by a bunch of men, and that's what frustrates me. It's like all the research is done by men. All the research is done on men. Then they just sort of send out a blanket communication to it's just really about men. And it's really it's not a man's world.
No.
It's unfortunately, men would not exist without women. So
We also make up 51% of the population.
Yes.
Like, it is close, but it is 51%.
yeah, and it's like, and so at the time it was like, without a period, females then don't reproduce. Without reproduction, you wouldn't be here, my friend. It's
yeah.
like, and so like I do get really passionate about it because I get really frustrated when it's like, it's not a taboo topic. It's very normal, and I just don't like when something that is such a, it's part of life, but it's made into a medical condition. It's like giving birth.
Yeah.
People have made it into a medical condition. It's probably the most natural part of life. But, we do have to go to hospital because that's just how we've all been sort of trained to believe that's where we need to be.
Well, it's like the birthing position.
Oh my God, the birthing position.
I've heard some history about this. I don't know if it's true. So tell me what you guys know about the birthing position.
Okay, so after my first child, I got all these random books at home. Motherhood and Anxiety. There's another one, which was, I can't remember the name of it. I read it a good few years ago, but it's all about research.
Okay.
And so how when you give birth, you're typically on your back.
Yes.
So it's like the worst position to be in, essentially. So if you're on your back, you don't have gravity on your side.
No.
So there's just so many other complications that can arise from it.
Yeah.
And that's actually what happened with my first child. So she was back to back. I was pushing for pretty much 10 hours. And they're like, you're doing so well. I'm like, can you see ahead? No. So how am I doing well? It's like, how am I doing well? Tell me.
I
And it
would
was
love
just
to
like-
see how assertive you are with drugs.
Oh,
I feel like it would be queen bee.
And it was like, I pay my taxes too, get somebody in here. It was honestly like, my husband was like, oh my God, like just get her what she needs. And it was just like, but it was just so traumatic because I was there doing what I could. And because it was during COVID as well, everything was closed. There was no classes running, anything. So the education for me was quite limited anyway. What I thought I knew wasn't really what was reality.
Yeah.
And so I was lying on my back for hours and hours and hours, and I was pushing, doing all the right things. I'm generally very fit, so I knew like I've got the strength to do it. But it was just, they didn't realise until at the end she was back to back and she was slightly lodged. But the positioning definitely did not help. So essentially I ended up with such bad back pain because I was laying there for such a long time. I did end up with coccydynia at the end of it. And so I was thinking, okay, afterwards, I was like, why was it so bad?
Yeah.
I know many women do suffer from traumatic births, and I won't go into all the details of it, but it was a really, really long recovery for me.
Yeah.
And so there was lots of, mental health issues, postpartum. I was massively overweight after giving birth. I actually gained majority of the weight after birth and everything. So it had a very long impact afterwards. So with my second, I did so much more research. And actually, being on all fours is like one of the best ways to give birth, or standing even, squatting.
Yeah. I've heard that squatting is
Yeah.
such a good
It is
position.
the best. It's honestly, you can, and also I think it's very much dependent on what women know before they go in. So
Yes.
you know, people assume that if you've had an epidural, then you have no choice but to just lay there. And actually, that's not true. You can actually, if you've got enough strength, you can turn around and put yourself in all fours. And that's what I did. It was sensational. Like, it was just sped up my birth incredibly. Like, he was out in 2 hours. I just couldn't believe it.
That's quick.
It was quick. I mean, people say second time around is quicker anyway, but I am just so convinced it's because of the education side of it. I knew I was in the right position. Even when you're contracting and all of those things, I'd done so much research on it. And these are things that people don't talk about often.
No.
You know, so like giving birth, really, it's like, hey, just go to hospital, it's fine. They kind of just see you as a number, churn you out. Same thing for periods, I feel like, you know, you were offered a hysterectomy at 19. Like, it's just, let's just get this girl out of my office as soon as I can and move on to the next. You know, it's like, you're really playing with women's lives here.
Yeah.
And so that's, for me, it's like, you know, education is where it needs to start in school.
Yes.
Well, the positioning, I think, the positioning for birth is just. I mean, the reason, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the reason that it is the way it is in terms of on a bed, on stirrups, is so that the physician could come and see.
That's exactly what it was. So that's where we started,
deliver the
isn't it?
baby.
How did you, the research. So that book that I was talking about it was something to do with, I'm pretty sure it was a research that was taking place in Germany. I'm sure it was Germany. Don't quote me on that one, but it wasn't. I'm pretty sure it was in Europe somewhere. And they were lying on. The women were lying on their backs, and they were doing research on these women.
Okay.
And then from there, it just became the norm that when they give birth, you'll be giving birth sort of on your back with stirrups.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Like on your, that's what they call it.
Yeah, with the way you put your feet
yeah, with
up.
feet are up. Yeah. So that's how it kind of just became a thing. Like it just sort of trended almost. Like, okay, that's how, you know, that's how you kind of look into. And so when they're doing the research or whatever, like that's how it sort of started. But that's not how you should be giving birth. Like it's not the natural way.
I tell you what, if men had to give birth, we'd all be crouching. Like, it'd be completely
yeah, 100%.
It would be
true. It's
completely different.
If men have to give birth, they will not make it. They would not make it. It's just a joke. You know, you're just like, you have no idea what pain is, my friend. Like, they just don't know. They will never know.
Yeah, it's true.
You just will never know. It's,
No, you can't even fathom it. Like,
No.
you know, in terms of, imagine like pushing a baby out. It's just, it doesn't even.
well, they
it doesn't
say
make
it's
sense.
like equivalent to breaking every bone in your body.
Yeah.
Not like I want to put anyone off from having children, but you know, or like, but then they say, you know, that apparently period cramps are as bad as having a heart attack.
What's that, yeah.
Yeah. So
one of my previous guests said that actually, and endometriosis is top 20 most painful conditions in the world, up there with cancer. Like
Really?
it's that level of pain. That level of pain.
I mean, people are bedridden.
yeah.
Like a lot of women are bedridden from it.
Before I found BeYou, it was very early on in my journey, but before I found the patches, my worst months, everything. I mean, I don't know how I didn't create a hole in my stomach, if I'm totally honest. I think I was quite lucky. But I was taking the max amount of paracetamol and Nurofen every single day.
Really?
The max amount every 4 hours for a month into 2 months.
And how old were you then?
18.
So you were at university.
Yeah, I was at university. I'd been on the contraceptive pill for probably a year or 2 years. And
was that
then-
to help manage the pain?
Yeah, it was heavy bleeding. It was like, I was really late to puberty and I came on when I was 16. It was my 16th birthday.
Oh, no.
No.
It was just like, you couldn't write it. It was so unfair.
Yeah, that is unfair.
I had been like the most like socially awkward teenager, and I just had like my first boyfriend. He asked me out on my 16th birthday.
Oh,
it was so
no.
cute. And then I remember like having like a birthday party thing, and that day at school I came on, but it was so heavy to the point where I had to leave school. Like I actually thought something horrific was happening. I didn't realise.
That's
And
quite
obviously-
rare for a first period, isn't it?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was just awful, and I basically had to wear like what felt like the equivalent of a nappy on my 16th birthday, like with this like boy that I like really liked and was like really awkward around. So yeah, pain was horrendous. So went on the contraceptive pill for that. That was a terrible decision. It had the worst side effects ever. And then
That's another thing people don't talk about.
no one talks.
yeah.
And that, I mean, whether you guys might have heard this, what really irritates me is when people bang on about how natural supplementation or lifestyle or change in nutrition can have side effects for people's lives, but we never talk about the side effects of the pills or any kind of pharmaceutical that we just shove women on every single day.
Yeah.
And also, why does it have to be the women that has to be in the contraceptive pill? Like, say, if you are doing it for the other reason,
Yeah.
for intercourse, then
Yeah.
it's like, well, why is there not something for a man?
Yeah.
Because hormonally, women are affected far more. So
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we used to have. I don't even remember Kat, but she used to be. She was on the pill. Sorry, she had. She was on contraception, and when she stopped, she was like, "I don't like my boyfriend anymore."
I've heard about this. Have you heard about this?
There's someone
Yeah.
who's written a book about
Yeah.
this. It is unbelievable, the psychology.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it really messes with the mind.
Yeah.
So what-
Because
I
hormones
think-
are such a big part of how your body functions.
Yeah.
So obviously, like if you're artificially changing that flow, like there's obviously going to be side effects to it.
So what you think you like, you don't really like.
Yeah.
And it's like what you like, what you don't really like it. So
know.
it's just crazy. And this is, but then this is what we keep going back to is the research. There's not enough research that's done behind it, right? Like,
No.
Yeah, but you need to have. The problem is, there's a couple of things. When we're talking about the pharma point, you need really deep pockets,
Yeah.
and also, like we're talking about side effects, for example. Like most women bear the brunt of side effects on the majority of medicines, right?
Yeah.
So, like, they're just unless they go back to these studies and say, okay, now we're going to put women into the initial studies. So and then are they going to change Nurofen? No, they're not gonna. They're making enough money on it. They don't care,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But there's so many things like that. There's so many medicines, I think, that are, and I'm pretty sure there's a couple of companies out there now, that are well funded as well, where they are looking back at clinical trials that didn't make it to the next stage because it was only done on male cells. And so and I think I'm pretty sure they've found a couple of things already that actually would help women like in some like crazy ways, like in terms of diseases and things that are, and help them with symptoms. So I think it will come. We'll just take time.
I went to a lecture at Watt University a while ago, and there's an incredible woman who's doing a lot of research on the microbiome of the vagina, because we've got gut health, which is absolutely huge, and everyone's talking about it. But the microbiome of the vagina is completely different, and she actually openly said, she was like, we literally know nothing, like literally nothing. We haven't got a clue. But obviously, she's getting funding and things to do research into it, which is amazing. But like, how can such an important like part of the body in 51% of the population, and we know nothing about it? And talking about like products and drugs and stuff that are made for women, someone else that I spoke to, the whole thing around, we're actually finding that loads of women that suffer with thrush and BV commonly, if they have a partner where they're using condoms, because condoms aren't made for the female body and have been tested on them, that is causing absolute havoc.
Yeah.
But they've only ever thought about the men wearing them.
Yeah, there's different flavors. You've got pads, which sanitary towels, like Always, and those type of brands that they have. I mean, for years they've always got this smell, which is just disgusting. Like, honestly, if I walk through the aisle, I always pick up the pads and I always give them a sniff first. But people are probably thinking, what is that woman doing? But it's like, I'm sniffing it to see if there's any perfume on it, because I don't believe it when they say it's like, it's like fragrance free, whatever. Because 90% of the time, there's fragrance on it. And I just really can't stand it because it's so bad for you. There was bleach on the pads. There was just so much stuff, right? So it's generally, like you said, like, there's nothing really that's that friendly for the vagina. And actually, if I was to ever pick up any form of, sanitary products, it's always, yes, it's more expensive. And that's what is the shame with it, that it's always got to be cotton, like organic, or it's going to be like the period pants, sorry.
Yes.
Period pants. They are, for me, they are life-changing because I don't feel like I'm putting anything against my skin, doesn't, make it, just doesn't irritate it. It was like, it's just awful. I just feel really sorry for women. It's hard enough as it is.
Yes.
And then especially like monthly. And then you've got products that aren't geared to kind of help women really thrive.
Yeah.
And then you've got a world which we live in, which is like, it doesn't matter if you're on your period, you still got to get yourself into work. You still got to perform to your absolute best.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then you're kind of looked down upon. People don't get it. Like, you suffer from endometriosis. You said pain-wise, it's like close to being like cancer. And, would you see a cancer patient coming into work? Like, maybe you would. I don't know how people cope with it, but it's like,
it's that big thing between, isn't it? It's like when we talk about any kind of invisible condition or invisible disability, people often, my mum used to say it to me actually when I used to really struggle with that. There's expectations at work to keep going, but I'm really, really, really struggling. And it was always a good lesson for me. She'd say to me, Alex, if you had broken your leg, would you be saying right now, I need to force myself to go for a run? No, you wouldn't, because you can physically see that your leg is broken, you've got it in a brace, and it's almost like there's an acceptance flag there for people to kind of let you off or give you an easier time. It's the same thing, isn't it? It's because you don't see any of this stuff that we just feel the pressure to just keep going.
To keep going, exactly. And it's not like you can walk around saying, I'm on my period, people don't talk to me. You know, that'd be great. That'd be amazing.
I'd love a little sign being like, not in the mood.
Yeah, exactly. Or, you know, I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that there are a few companies now that do allow women a certain number of days off in a month. Or not off, but you can work from home on those specific days, which is great because if you can, and that's really, really, you know, it's useful not having to drag yourself out of bed and going to work because it's just not the same for men. I'm sure men suffer in other ways, but it's just very different because it's like a physical thing that you can't help.
Yeah.
And so, you know, from an understanding point of view, from an employer's point of view, I do think it is different for women.
Yeah, definitely. So seeing as, I mean, there are so many things that we've listed about women's health and what needs changing, and they're all really important. And obviously you guys are playing a massive part in changing that and making women's health in that space so much better. You have for me individually, and like we talked about the stories, you have for so many other women. What's the vision and the kind of the hope for the future for you guys? Is it, like you say, to keep expanding, and is there like awareness and advocacy work there as well? Because you have such a huge platform and such a huge voice that you're using to make a real difference to a lot of women.
You want me to say it?
Yeah, you.
I think it's a bit of everything because we've always said that because of the products that we have, we're able to kind of dip into different conversations quite easily. It's quite seamless as opposed to kind of forcing something about, like, let's say pregnancy or something, without having something which we can also talk about. And I think part of that is, so I'll give you a really good example of that is we're doing these educational toolkits with a charity called the Menstrual Health Project. And we're going to keep rolling those out with like different conditions and different versions of them. Like we did, our first one was for endometriosis, then we did one for general menstrual health, and then we did that for schools. So we're kind of keep rolling those kind of things out. The education side of it is really important. And obviously I think, you know, working with other people is it enables us to focus on kind of the business and create products that are going to help in the interim. Because obviously in an ideal world, what we would do is we would be big enough to just go and do a bunch of clinical trials with all the different women that have endometriosis or PCOS or whatever it is, right? And say, okay, let's figure out what are the things that are causing it and let's nip it in the bud, right? That would be the dream. But in the absence of that, we need to at least create something which is going to help people with their day-to-day lives so they can cope at least. Right? Because as you just said, you're going to keep having to go to work and whatever else it is and whatever pressures there are around you, you can't, you know, you're not going to be able to necessarily stop that unless the government steps in and actually makes a real change. So I think there's a lot of advocacy in that way, and I guess having these conversations, you know, like you're talking about pregnancy, all these, and being real about what actually happens. And yeah, I think, and then we'll just kind of see how it goes from there. Really, there's not much we can. There's obviously a lot we can be doing, right? So, but we're a small team, so in an ideal world, we'd be big enough to do some real clinical studies.
Yeah. Well, I certainly hope for that. The idea that someone who isn't Big Pharma would do clinical studies around why this actually happens. Like you said earlier, it's about going to the root cause of the condition. Western medicine is about, it's so boxy. Like if you have a leg pain, you go to a leg doctor. If you have a heart pain, you go to a heart doctor. No one seems to connect any of the dots around holistic health. The fact that your body's all interconnected. And then we treat, like you say, only the symptoms. We never think to go all the way back to think.
Absolutely, it's always symptom treating.
What
with
is
steroids mostly.
So the fact that, you know, if that's something that you guys want to do, and I hope in the future you can do, that would be life-changing. That makes me really excited just to think about that, even if we theorize about it. That's great. That's fine for me.
That is always the thing, though. Like I think if we can have enough money as a business to fund that, then you know, happy days. Because the amount of the difference you can make in the world from doing, I think, the clinical studies in the right way without having like a bias for it. I think that's really powerful, and there's a lot of people you can help with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? There's so many things you can do.
Kru, what do you think?
I mean, we just really want to help people. And it does really start at home. So it's not like something, and I think this is why people do kind of connect and resonate with the products and with us, because they can see that as brother and sister, you know, it does really start with us. So, you know, and like a lot of the girls that have sort of bought the products, it's like I've also been on a journey with it. So it's like I started off with the periods. Now I've got 2 kids of my own. I'm sort of out the other side of that. So there is, you know, so much more that we can do in that space.
Yeah.
So the next thing would be to give women better maternity pay.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, we are working on that.
That's an absolute.
That is
Oh, amazing.
You know,
yeah.
like you want like a society of human beings that are mentally, emotionally aware, yet you don't allow the mothers to raise them. So it's like, you know, it's a big, huge space.
It's daft. It's actually a very short-sighted kind of mat pay.
Which is probably set also by men.
No, of course it is. Of course it is.
Surprise.
Yeah. Of course it is. It's so silly. It's silly. I mean, you're thinking about all the costs associated with having a child, right?
Yes.
Whatever the help that the government give is kind of negligible in the scheme of things, right? And actually, there's a lot. I think there's a lot to be said, and there's obviously pilot studies and things like that need to be done in this. But I think there's a lot to be said for the government stepping in and saying, "Look, because obviously companies can't always afford it. Granted,
Yes.
but let them do the stat pay and let the government step in and do the uplift to, let's say, even if it was 90% of your salary, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a real case for that, because it's you know, in a short term, obviously it doesn't make sense, but actually you're giving the mothers a chance to raise their kids.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, I mean, if you've got a mentally healthy mother, you've got mentally healthy children, you've got happy, healthy children.
Exactly.
And also it doesn't just impact the females of the family and the children, it also really massively impacts the husbands, because the pressure they then feel when the partner is then off, not out of their own choice, because there are plenty of people that can argue saying, well, you chose to have children, you chose to be out of work, you can go back. And it's like, well, actually, you know, dogs are actually allowed more time with their mothers than kids. And I'm not even joking. Like, it's a joke in the US, but, you know, it's crazy. I think they only get something like 6 weeks. And that's actually how long puppies have with their mother.
I just feel like that's physically unsafe, though.
Yeah.
It's
like,
out of this world. It's
ridiculous.
outrageous. Like, I can't even believe, like, you haven't even recovered by that point.
It goes to your invisible point. It is very much like
It's the invisible pain. Like, when you give birth, you've got the scar you have inside of where the placenta was is meant to be the size of a dinner plate. It's meant to be that big. So it's like, imagine if you're walking around with a scar that humongous on the outside. Would you be getting out of bed? Would you be going to work? Would you be doing all these things? You wouldn't.
No, of course
but
not.
where women have just been forced into this corner to just crack on and pretend like everything's fine, that's why we end up with, no wonder you got so many women out there that have postpartum depression.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually, it's just facts. For me, that is the next phase. So
I can't wait for that. I mean, like you say, it is education. And
it is education, yeah.
I know that, I mean, from where I was 10 years ago, I know that feel so much more educated where I am now. But yet again, there is still so much more to go. And actually, I see that as exciting. I can't wait for that. I can't wait to keep learning. Because obviously pregnancy or anything in that part of womanhood isn't anything that I've come across yet. So it's just, like you say, trying to get that education across all genders, all age ranges,
Yes,
to just soak it up and actually get involved in that.
Yeah.
Guys, you've been incredible. Final question for you, if I may. What's it like working together, brother and sister?
I love it. He might not. I love it. I've always said to him, I always had this dream in my head, like one day we'll have like a skyscraper office with like amazing, like transparent windows so everyone can just see us like waving. And like, I've always said this, like I've always loved being able to work with him because I find him so funny because he's just so dry. Like his sense of humor is so dry. And so I find it, honestly, he makes me like tear laugh. Like I'm just laughing so much with it. So like, but there are times, don't get me wrong, and this is my point of view, I don't know how you feel. People are going to be like, oh, you're just really annoying. But like, he overthinks everything. It's like, I mean, it could be like the colour of the line of the inside of the patch. Yeah, like, do you think that's in the wrong place?
It's true.
I'm like, are you actually asking me this question? Like, nobody's going to notice that. Or, you know, like, is it slightly to the left? I'm like, no, it is not slightly to the left. It's okay. Don't worry. It's fine. It works. You know, like, he overthinks everything. But you know what it is because he just really wants to get it right.
Yeah.
And it's like, and also for me, I mean, for a guy, he is just so well educated in the women's space, and this is what a lot of people don't actually realize when they come to the business and like, oh, can I please speak to the co-founders, whatever. He is the guy. Like, he is honestly the guy who's like spearheading this business forward. I've been off. I've got my 2 kids and stuff, and absolutely I want to get back into it. But he is the main person spearheading it, and it's like, I'm so proud of my brother.
Oh.
I'm so
Thank you.
proud of him. So.
That was such a comprehensive answer. Mine was like, yeah, it's great. No, it is good. It is good. I mean, it's one of those things where we've always been close growing up.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a natural progression. It's not, I mean, we still argue, like she gets frustrated at me when I'm asking her about pedantic things.
Well, he shouts at me as well. I'm like, oh my God, why are you shouting? He goes, no, it's not. I'm not shouting. It's just that I'm talking in the car. I'm like, okay, all right then.
It's true though. It's true. But that's the thing. Like, it's nice in that way because, like with having like a business partner that is not family,
Yeah.
there's obviously different dynamics and there's obviously a lot of pros and cons.
Yeah.
But I love it. I think it's great, and it works really well for us.
Also, you can just keep it real with each other, right? It's like no, or
Like exactly how I'm saying something.
Yes.
Instead of misunderstanding if I'm saying it in a weird way or something.
Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm saying.
You don't have to formulate like a really formal email or anything. It's just straightforward. It's just, do you like this? Do you not like it?
Yeah.
Tell me what you don't like about it. It's just so you can get things done. I'd say quicker.
Without second guessing. Yeah.
Because it's like where I suppose where we sort of complement each other is where he overthinks certain little things with like just like example I gave you.
Yeah.
For me, it's I can just say yes or no to it. But because it's just so close to his heart, like where he just really wants to get it right. But for me, I see it from another angle. And it's like I know I'm not going to notice that, and I don't think anyone else will. Like we make decisions quite well together.
Yeah, we're very even personality type. We're polar opposites, so it works really well.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you complement each other perfectly, to be honest. And I would say it's making me think of me and my brother. And I'm not sure if I go home to him tonight, he'll be that convinced that we can work together. But I'd be like, honestly, I've met this brother and sister duo. We can totally do it. Guys, you've been phenomenal. You both, I think, are just incredible role models to so many people. I feel
thank you.
really inspired and really honoured that you've come on the podcast. I really appreciate it. And
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
thank you. And if it's okay to say, I think your granddad would be incredibly proud.
Thank
of what
you.
you're doing.
Thank you so much. It means a lot to us. Thank you.
I loved our girl chat this week. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, then don't forget to hit the follow button wherever you're listening. To find out more about us or today's guest, then head to the show notes. Until next time, I'm Alexandra, and remember, it's not just a period.